Our top story tonight, Canada Post workers have gone on strike. The Crown Corporation has stopped delivering mail across the country. That means some services to remote and northern communities that rely on Canada Post have also ground to a halt. The CBC's Mahnor Mubarak has more from Nunavut.
Around 55,000 workers have walked off the job, fighting for better wages, working conditions, and more. With no outgoing or incoming mail, residents in the north could see potential delays in delivery for mail that has already been ordered previously. CBC spoke with some people in Iqaluit on their thoughts on it.
Oh, I think I'm all full support. I think they need fair conditions, fair wages.
Nidhi Panwar is visiting Iqaluit from Toronto.
I was hoping to send a postcard to my niece and nephew in Vancouver, but I didn't realize that there's a strike.
She says she can imagine it being difficult for people in the north to not have access to Canada Post.
It's one of the ways to stay in touch in a remote place, so it's unfortunate.
It's an essential service for most of the people, and the Christmas is coming, and we want to send all those wishes to our families.
Dave Lambert is a regional education and organization worker for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. He says the work postal workers do helps connect northern and Indigenous communities.
Again, this decision is not taken lightly, is a last resort.
He says that the strike comes over a year of bargaining with Canada Post, and it seemed like the only option left for the union. While mail isn't being delivered, things like government benefit checks will still be delivered, like the Old Age Security, the Canada Child Benefit, and the Canada Pension Plan. Lambert says he hopes the strike will end soon so service can resume. Negotiations are still taking place. Mahnor Mubarak, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Postal workers are on the picket lines in Yellowknife today, too. While the strike will stop deliveries of packages and mail across Canada, officials in small northern communities say they could be the most impacted.
Most residents in the small communities rely on Canada Post for a lot of stuff. Nowadays everyone buys online, so of course everything there is shipped in by Canada Post. And if an individual needs their prescription drugs, that's all shipped in by Canada Post in most cases as well.
The Northwest Territories Health and Social Services Authority says it doesn't rely on Canada Post as its primary shipping service for pharmacies and warehouses. Some of its vendors may use Canada Post, and in those cases, the Health Authority says it'll work with them directly on other forms of shipping. The GNWT says it's also working to find other couriers to deliver territorial benefits. Those are things like income assistance that some people still get by mail. Right now, they are not expecting delays. Meanwhile, in the Yukon, 62 union members are off the job due to the strike. Cheryl Kawaja has that side of the story.
Under a full moon in the dark, Canada Post employees settle in on the strike line, setting up shop for an unknown amount of time. A pile of wood for the fire to take off the chill as the wind whips around the top of 2 Mile Hill in Whitehorse.
Can you help me, please? Absolutely. I need quite a few.
The local president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers says the union demands speak to the northern experience.
Given the weight of inflation, and particularly in Whitehorse, people will understand that this is not a job we're out here making $70 an hour. Thank you. This is a job I'm out here making $21.80. And when you start talking about rent in Whitehorse, I don't think we're asking for unreasonable cost of living increases.
Union members will get strike pay when they show up to the picket line. It amounts to $56.20 a day. And for that, they're expected to do a minimum of 4 hours out here.
Time outside is actually one of the sticking points for the union. Mac Calhoun says Canada Post wants to take away what he calls inside time for carriers and add more delivery time.
So they want to up that from basically like 6 hours out walking outside to the full 8 hours walking outside. And you know that in January, this kind of thing, if you're delivering mail in 30 below on ice-covered streets.
While Canada Post service grinds to a halt across the country, there are small exceptions. Outside of Whitehorse, in communities like Dawson City, workers at the post office aren't part of the union. So today, people like Amélie Morin can pop in for packages. But there won't be any more mail coming in or going out. With national service interrupted, Morin says shopping for the holidays could be a challenge in small-town Yukon.
It might also inspire us to purchase local a little bit more. So, I guess we'll see how it unfolds.
Meanwhile, the union and Canada Post have agreed to one big dispensation. People waiting for socio-economic income support this month will be delivered their checks.
It's unclear just how long this strike might go on, but union members here in Whitehorse are hunkering down to stay warm. Cheryl Kawaja, CBC News, Whitehorse.